There was a psychotherapeutic theory, which is still valid, of course, which refers to the trauma of the birth. Imagine the flower is the belly of the mother. The flower is the cosmos, is the earth, is the habitat a living creature is able to live on. In this case, it's the beetle. And then it is thrown out of this habitat. Birth is given to the child, which means it's being thrown out of its old cosmos and it has to find a new cosmos. This is the trauma of the birth. This is the trauma when this beetle has to leave its habitat. It is not our theme and our subject to discuss what might have happened between the ant and the beetle. So I transfer the situation back to our human existence because I'm definitely not able to speak about the behavior and also the psychology or the instincts of the bug and of the ant. I'm not able to speak about this, but I'm able to approach metaphorically this whole issue of seeing a beetle on a flower, which could be the belly of the mother, and then being obliged to leave it, being obliged to be born. So the first stage was finding ourselves in a pre-verbal stage in the belly of the mother, the flower, the beetle. Then the beetle has to leave its cosmos, the belly, being like thrown out of the cosmos. And the living organism has two possibilities: to socialize, to produce relationships, bonding, or in case it experienced unstable relationships at the beginning of its life, possibly also in the belly, if it experienced absence of the nourishing part of the mother, it might decide that bonding, which basically is a primary instinct, which is most important for all living creatures, in order to survive the first months, if this bonding was not stable, the living organism decides that bonding is not worthwhile. And this is my connection between the trauma of birth, the bug living its cosmos, the flower, and the willingness to return back to the belly. The unrestricted freedom of the prenatal state as long as possible. Prenatal means before being thrown out of the belly, before being born, a traumatic experience, or before leaving the flower in the case of the bug. So the living organism, the human living organism, is always ready to jump back to the primary status. For example, the original situation is being achieved by dreaming, where more or less all the subconscious needs are being expressed. We have to leave the belly. The larva has to become a grown-up insect. We never relinquish the claim to go back to unrestricted freedom. And here I make a formal free association with Marsha. Marsha as a proposition for housing the Mars. It looks like a larva of an insect. Marsha, the housing on the Mars. And why the Mars? Because it seemingly gives us the opportunity to finally return to the unrestricted freedom of finding ourselves in the belly of the mother. Return to the belly of the mother. Find another planet. If we leave our earth, our natural environment, because we understand that we cannot return back to the belly, at least we return, we find another cosmos, we find Mars. Obviously, it's paradox. The one way to deal with the whole subject of the birth of the trauma is to try to find a way to produce stable relationships, bonding, communication, helping each other, peace, of course, on our planet, in the belly of the mother, on the earth. This is our planet. And not to jump off the alternative, the paradox alternative, is to jump off. Stop bonding with the environment which actually produced us. Not seeking any more relationship. Jump off. Go to Mars. Become larva again. Produce a new cosmos. Return to a new belly, which according to common sense is not really a viable alternative. Bonding with others and fighting to find solutions, fighting metaphorically, to coexist like the ant and the beetle, though of course I'm not sure whether they would be able to bond because they have instincts, they're animals, they might eat each other up, kill each other, but paradoxically, the same happens with humans. They either fight or they flight to Mars.